because we have lost somebody, the father of the country, and a father to most of us who were contemporaries to his children. So we have felt that we have lost a father. But through him, but at least they have left us a country to manage or mismanage. So the ball is in our court. I want to say that we have a big responsibility.
Remembrance of our late great father, the former Speaker of the Gambia's Parliament, Muhammadu Babukar Njai, popularly known as Njai BP. He was a Speaker at the National Assembly for more than a decade. He was a big captain of industry. At one point, he was also president of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce.
But he was ahead of his time. And I had a distinct pleasure of visiting Dawda outside of London for about 3 days, interviewing him, and I wrote something on him, a book chapter on Dawda. 2 years later, he came to Miami University, where he gave a big lecture to the academic community. And he spent about a whole week with the students. And we went from classroom to classroom, and I was just enamored with Dawda, partly because of his humility, his wisdom, and certainly his reputation as an environmentalist and a human rights activist. Dawda will always be remembered.
And people who are living in the Gambia. I want to thank my executive director, which is Dr. Dawda, for attaching me to this historical event. Because for me personally, I cannot remember anything that I did directly beneficial to the old man. I will not refer to him as the father, but grandfather. You see, National Environment Agency clearly is his brainchild. Yeah, you know, and they touch other animals. So I can say National Environment today triumphing is all because of the old man's idea, which we should all.
Plastic have to come out. I know, but you're talking to a trained forester, a professional.
Jerry can, where the Jerry can. So, Mahmoud can work with him. Elder citizen of the Gambia. Ask him to plant this tree in memory of all the colleagues in the public service of the Gambia on this very auspicious day. Jan, please, come to a few words about
Yes, thank you. Okay. Yes, thank you very much to the organizers for this laudable initiative. I'm very happy that we are doing this, and I pray that we do it continuously every year. I want to say that today is a bittersweet day. It's bitter because we have lost somebody, a father of the country, and a father to most of us who were contemporaries to his children. So we have felt that we have lost a father. But through him, I also want to recognize the founding fathers of this country. I think they have done an excellent job. No matter what our opinion, we respect that opinion, but at least they have left us a country to manage or mismanage. So the ball is in our court. I want to say that we have a big responsibility, But we thank them and we pray for them so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take them to the highest Jannah. And the struggle they have made for us, our children, our great-grandchildren, may Allah reward them generously for that. And thank you all for your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In memory of our late great father, the former Speaker of the Gambia's Parliament, Muhammadu Babukar Njai, popularly known as Njai BP. He was a Speaker at the National Assembly for more than a decade. He was a big captain of industry. At one point, he was also president of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And we remember him today as one of the companions of Sir Dawda, and the great affection between him, his family, and Sir Dawda's family. Sosek could not speak because she has lost her voice, and I have to speak on her behalf. But we are very grateful that you are able to make the time so that we can remember the late Speaker of the Gambia's National Assembly. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Professor Sen.
No.
Professor Ablai Sen is a scholar of international repute. He spent a great part of his academic career and life in the United States, where he went to school and taught in different universities. Now he is a scholar in retirement. He has recently founded also a similar institute named for two very distinguished Gambian scholars, Professor Elo Sane, the religionist scholar from Yale University, and Professor Suleiman Nyang, for many years of Howard University and thereabouts. The institute he has established is called the Nyang Sane Institute, and it is dedicated to research and scholarship about the African experience in scholarship. Professor, we are very pleased that you could join us on this day, and if you can say a few words, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Only a visionary, but he was ahead of his time. And I had a distinct pleasure of visiting Sir Dawda outside of London for about 3 days, interviewing him, and I wrote something on him, a book chapter on Sir Dawda. 2 years later, he came to Miami University, where he gave a big lecture to the academic community. And he spent about a whole week with the students. And we went from classroom to classroom, and I was just enamored with Sir Dawda, partly because of his humility, his wisdom, and certainly his reputation as an environmentalist. and a human rights activist. Sir Dawda will always be remembered as the father of this nation. He guided this nation with moderation. I think that was his distinguishing element, among other things. And I really could have said more about him, but I have a book chapter on him. I have defended his legacy shamelessly at many places. And really, Gambia has been blessed to have him as the first president. And his legacy certainly is a demonstration of the good things that he had done in the past. Thank you so much.
But he has an agenda against Badibunkas. EA is the national institution tasked with environmental protection. And we have an MOU with them. They are the only institution so far we have signed an MOU with. The executive director, Dr. Dawda Baji, has contributed enormously in encouraging us to persevere with this small project. At the launching of Kairaclo, he was in attendance. He made a very powerful speech, and we felt it fitting and proper to invite him. He has a very busy schedule today, but he has ably deputed this Kianka man to do the honor. Sir, please.
I first would want to very much recognize the presence of these distinguished Gambians and people who are living in the Gambia. I want to thank my executive director, which is Dr. Dawda, for attaching me to this historical event. Because for me personally, I cannot remember anything that I did directly beneficial to the old man. I will not refer to him as the father, but grandfather. You see, National Environment Agency clearly is his brainchild that he conceived in the 70s, when even some of these developed countries around the globe were not exposed to the idea, and the touch as to what the environment means to our lives as human beings and other animals. So I can say national environment today triumphing is all because of the old man's idea, which we should all cherish. And planting a tree, I think we are immortalizing him even more, because I know he has just gone. Physically, we cannot see him. But we all would agree to one point, that Dawda will remain our tree light until the day that there will be no more wall to live in. So I pray for the family, I pray for him. And I want to remind ourselves, we've been planting trees, but now it is all about tree growing now. I'm convinced, because I've seen all other trees being planted here. But what I'm saying is, this should be taken even much more with great care, because it's attached to somebody who cannot be seen failing, and anything attached to him cannot be seen failing. So it is our responsibility. Don't say, okay, you drive in and see what's happening to these trees, and not to be left with the administration here alone. What I want to say is, I've been to Ghana, and I know all of you have been even beyond, so that's no bragging. But I visited Dr. Kwame's area, and a tree reminded me that Nelson Mandela was the one who planted that tree. So what I would ask for further intervention, these trees should be identified, like what my dad planted there should be labeled. Dr. Mahmoud Jai planted this tree on this so-and-so date at this so-and-so time. Because this is what I have seen in Ghana. You go there, you talk to nobody. The tree will talk to you. And I think that is very, very important. So that permanent kind of, I don't know what you would call it. My brother is here, he knows about those terms. But a guard, whatever, permanent guard, where these things will be labeled. And the day and the time, so that anybody after us, because Mr. John's grandchild would enjoy to come and see that, oh, it's the old man Dawda that my grandpa did this here for, and would want to emulate. So definitely, and those who are coming and going as heads of states in this country, this can be a game changer. Because, you cannot go and be forgotten like that. So, but with these things, it immortalized. So with, on behalf of National Environment Agency, institution which was conceived by Dawda back in 1977, where I worked for, together I would want to pray that this kind of good excellence example be continued, time in memory, so that because this binds us together, this puts us together, and as one. And this is all about Dawda unity. We all know what he did for OAU and OIC, and many other things in this world. You have international organizations here, human rights and all those things. He's a champion of that. So these are small remembrances, but they're big. So I would want to at least conclude here on behalf of the Environment Agency and Dr. Dawda Baji, who is presently the Executive Director, to thank you, beautiful and at least very qualitative citizens of this soil. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Gambia, at the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industries. And she's like an elder sister. We are from Soldier Town in Banjul. And today we honor her efforts and her contribution. When this Kenkaman was speaking, I was thinking about the booze in Banjul. They call it Sulu. What he was doing, he was Suluing our game. The whole idea is to make sure.
How about the red price?
I know.
You say you are.
Yes.
But Mama,
Lady B, can you say a few words on behalf of the GWCC and the president of GWCC?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, my former boss. It is indeed a great pleasure for the Gambia Women's Chamber of Commerce for us to be selected to be one of the institutions that would plant a tree in honor of Dawda. So we are indeed very grateful, and we want to extend sincere appreciation to the organizers for a well thought out project. A tree also represents life. So any project that really wants to see trees grown and maintain the vegetation, I think must be highly commended. I happen to have been in the same class with Dawda's children. I was in the same class with Dawda at St. Joseph's Preparatory. And then when I went to St. Joseph's High School, I was in the same class with Nema Jawara, and Nasise was our junior. So I also looked up to him as a father then because of his children. But as a father of the nation, his vision was well thought out for this country. And to continue the legacy would be something that we really have to safeguard so that we also have something to transfer to the upcoming generation. So I want to commend Alma Mittal for this gesture and the whole board for your work in the area of environment. At the Gambia Women's Chamber of Commerce, we are very conscious of environment. We have a lot of members who are farmers, but I'm pleased to say we currently have an environment project together with Molo, sponsored by EU, to produce compost so that we could move away from inorganic fertilizers to organic fertilizers. So I'm very proud to be associated with this noble venture. Thank you very much.
So we move now on the other side of the...
That's why I said I would show you. After he was greatly serving this nation as Attorney General through our early stage of the transition of the Gambia, He now is an under Secretary General of the United Nations, working on the residual mechanisms from the Rwanda tribunal. And he is actually the registrar. And because of the international ethical issues involved, he has been very quiet, but on the side he has been supporting a lot of Gambian initiatives and organizations. We are lucky that we caught him at a time when he is working from home. And his service to the international legal community, we all saw it when the Rohingya tribunal, Rohingya matter reached the international tribunal in The Hague. For the first time, a small country with moral clarity and purpose stood out before the wall and said that justice for all should mean justice for all. We were very filled with pride because of one of our sons have gone this far to proclaim the rule of law, to proclaim justice. And whenever you talk about Dawda, we talk about the African Charter, the Banjul Charter. Mr. Tambedou, in his earlier career, was known as a human rights defender during the dark days of dictatorship. And he contributed really enormously to the change we are celebrating today. And for that reason, we thought there would be no better fitting person to honor the memory and legacy of Dawda and to plant this tree in rich tribute to his very fulfilling life. My Secretary General, also a Tambedou, says that I'm not talking enough about Kairaclo. There will be time for that, but you know, Honorable Minister, please, can you do the honors?
I only trust my wife here with my phone.
Minister, now it's our joke. So we are all thieves, huh?
Yes. Okay, pa? Sige. Sige, good. Dia yang mah distract mo. Thank you. Yang sige.
Honorable Minister, please, if you can say a few words.
Yes, I haven't seen a microphone for a very long time. It's an honor, of course, for me to be here and to honor the invitation by Kairaclo. I think we should commend Kairaclo for such an initiative in memory of the father of the nation, of course, Dawda, Jawara. I believe if I say that Dawda personified the principles of respect for the rule of law and fundamental human rights, it would be an understatement. I think everyone who recognizes the Gambia's leadership in the world of human rights and respect for the rule of law owes that significantly to Dawda and his legacy. And that legacy continues to this day. In fact, it is the inspiration that drove the Ministry of Justice in order to restore the Gambia's leadership position in the world of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. It is that same inspiration which led our engagement in the region and beyond. And it was the same inspiration that made us decide to pursue the case at the International Court of Justice. So Sir Dawda's legacy continues to this day, and the fact that we continue to talk about respect for human rights, fundamental freedoms in the Gambia here and in the Africa region is thanks largely to Sir Dawda, to his vision, to his commitment, his passion, and above all, his principled position on respect for fundamental rights. And I think we should all pay tribute to him. And there is no better way to do so than to plant a tree that will be here for perhaps as long as the environment allows. But also today is another legacy of Sir Dawda being manifested in this exercise of tree planting. It is in exercise of the right to a clean environment, which is also a human right. And I think Sir Dawda's legacy and life encompasses all aspects of human rights. But I will close by appealing to the government. I call upon the government of the Gambia, in continuation of what Kairaclo has started today, to challenge itself to plant 1 million trees across the length and breadth of the country within the next 1 year. It is achievable, it is necessary at this time of climate change, and it is one that I think will benefit the Gambia in the long term. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. The next
I can take my
planting.
Thank you very much.
And does not like for it to be said that he was exiled by the dictator, but he had worked internationally in Senegal for many years, and he is a prolific columnist and has written 2 books, one about his journalistic endeavors, another one about his experience in government. He was the first information minister of President Adama Barrow. We call him here today to plant this tree in the memory and in the name of his comrades, people like Babukar Gay, people like, of course, the great Dawda Haidara, and many other great Gambian journalists. Swaibu Konate comes to mind. This is for the media fraternity of the Gambia, who had valiantly struggled to make sure that human rights and the rule of law becomes part of our culture. Mr. Jawara, I'm sure I haven't left anything out. And it gives me great pleasure to ask you to say a few words.
Okay. Let me just make a little correction. I was not in exile in Senegal. I was working there. In fact, I used to come back here, right? So anyway, I'm definitely very, very happy to be associated with the Jawara legacy, because Sir Dawda has left a very positive legacy in this country. My personal interaction with Sir Dawda was when, after he returned from exile in the UK, he wanted to write his memoirs, and there was a committee that was set up, and I was a member of that committee. We used to go to his house to help him to compile his speeches and a lot of other things. So that was my personal interaction with Sir Dawda. You know, he's got a very positive legacy, as I said. And when it comes to the environment, we all remember the Banjul Declaration of 1977. So he was very passionate about keeping the environment clean. And so I am definitely happy to be associated with this project of planting trees. But it is one thing to plant a tree, but it's another thing also to nurture it and make it grow. And I have no doubt that people who are in this place will definitely see to it that these trees are nurtured and they will, grow up and become big trees. So that, every time somebody comes here, would definitely associate these trees with the Sir Dawda Jawara legacy. So on that note, I say a big thank you to Kairaclo And all those who are associated with this project, I think it's a very positive thing, and let's keep it that way. Thank you very much.
Mr. Idrissa Job, who is very ably represented by Mr. James Bahum, who very many Gambians are familiar with his name and face. In the days of the struggle, they were in the diaspora agitating for good trouble. Well, I have a special relationship with DA, but James, I couldn't speak to that. Yes, but he is representing the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Idrissa Job.
To all the guests who attended here on this most auspicious occasion. When Almami was thinking about this project, we were together. We had a lot of conversations about this. And I am glad, happy, and honored to be here to attend this, this event. I am here in place of Mr. Job, Idrissa Job, President of the GCCI, who happens to be out of the country currently. So he's asked me to kindly deputize for him and to also extend his gratitude to Almami for making him part of this very important event. As many of you may have heard, I was away in exile in England for quite a while. It was an enforced, not an enforced exile, but in the 22 years that we had that interregnum and that very difficult time, it was wise not to come once you started speaking against that government. So I thought it wise, on the basis of self-preservation, to keep myself in exile for 22 years. So I took the first opportunity to come back home in 2017 because I've missed so much, including the death of my mom, who I was not able to bury in my absence. I still cry about it. But yes, during our exile, remember Dawda as well was in exile. And in that period, in that time, with all our activism and so forth and so on, we came into very close contact with him. For me in person, and in particular, I was entrusted with the honorable duty and assignment to go and brief Sir Dawda periodically about what we were doing in the activism front, demonstrating, engaging the international community, going to the House of Commons, knocking at the doors of politicians and other functionaries to raise Gambia's topic at the very heart of the international debate. We were able to achieve quite a bit, and our contribution varied, but each and every one of us, kusi nekk rek being a sawar, and Sir Dawda was central to what we were doing. I recall an event, the first of its kind, of Gambians in the UK, when we held a press briefing at the halls of the House of Commons in London, in Committee Room 10, which is the biggest committee room in the House of Commons. And it was totally filled to the rafters with Gambians from all walks of life who attended. And Sir Dawda was there, OJ was there, Ahmad Ba was there, the late Femi Peters was there, and several of our grandees. And we talked about Gambia. One of the people who attended that event was the British High Commissioner here in the Gambia at the time, Deputy British High Commissioner by the name of Bharat Joshi. Upon his return to Gambia, 48 hours, he was declared persona non grata and removed from the country. So it showed that it showed that we had some real good impact in what we were doing, and we thank Sir Dawda partly for giving us the courage to do so. I would go to, I'm not sure, I told Almami the last time at the symposium that I wanted to say a few words about Sir Dawda, but I don't know, I was not sure whether Mama Chilel would have given me permission because I haven't been to see her since my return. But this is an opportunity really to echo what has already been said about Sir Dawda and his love for mankind and his human rights work. I was a member as well of the President's Award Scheme at my very early age, and I encountered him there for the first time. It is always a pleasure to sit and have a conversation with Sir Dawda. He was a great listener, one who would listen and you think he was, he was not even so nonchalantly. But at the end of whatever statement you were making, he had already analyzed and defined a question for you that would strike at the very heart of what you were trying to say. And that for me was a gift that Sir Dawda had. We today celebrate his great legacies, not one, not two, not three, but many of them. This is only a small part of what Gambia should be doing to memorialize the work of Sir Dawda. And I think one small step, maybe 1,000 steps to a big monument, perhaps even bigger than this, that we can attribute to Sir Dawda for all the work he's done over the years. He was first president and everything else encountered, but he was a humanist, and that I think must stand out. So thank you very much, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Is actually a founding member of KAIRACLO, but as working in environment. Recently, she had an exhibition at the Alliance Française about sailing for mangroves, and she's been doing tremendous work since she came home. And we thought it would be a fitting penultimate planting for her to honor us with her presence and thereafter say a few words. I think we still have one hole to fill.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
I think I'm going to do what Mr. Tambe do.
Yes. Then in that case, the Vice Chairperson of KAIRACLO will do the final planting. Yeah? Please, may I?
Okay. We are together.
We are together. But I need you alone. Excuse me, sir. Hello? Move a little bit. Thank you. Look at the side. Thank you. Thank you.
Being welcomed again, but you know that I always like to be behind the scenes and not in front of the scenes, so I'll let Mr. Tambe take it over.
Yeah.
Say something.
You've been wanting to say a few things.
Let's talk about the history of Kairaclo.
I want to say it at the end, not in the middle.
Well, can I just make I don't want to talk, but usually when I start ceremonies, I like to start with a prayer, and I know we missed that. So if it's okay, we can all individually pray together so that we can respect all those.
We were hoping to end with that, but that's also fine.
So we can respect those that we have lost and give them, may their soul rest in peace.
Yes.
1 minute prayer.
Dynamic, charismatic vice chairperson, Mrs. Miss Ramzia Diab Konem, among the first Gambian trained aviation specialists. She worked in the crew, the West Africa crew of Nigeria Airways, going all the way back to the 80s, and she has served as Gambia's ambassador to Southeast Asia, based in Malaysia. She was a member of our National Assembly a few years back. And now we were the co-authors of this initiative with the very able and dynamic Mbemba Tambedu, who would probably have a lot more to say after the planting exercise about the Kairaclo initiative. Ms. Diab, please.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. I don't think I'll make any speech, being that I spoke earlier at the National Assembly. So I would humbly want to hand over to my able Secretary General to say a few words about Kairaclo. But just to say thank you, everybody. This is an auspicious day in the memory of Sir Dawda, who, talking about him being a humanist is even an understatement, as usual. But we are happy to be here today, celebrating his legacy and his passion for a clean environment. So talking about how Kairaclo came into being, I would leave that to the Secretary General to say a few words about that. Thank you.
First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to the crew of the KAIRABA International Conference Center, Mr. Dabo, and your name is? The supervisor, Mr. Kohli. We are very grateful for the time you have given us to ensure that this ceremony comes to a very successful conclusion. I want to just say a small story. The chairman and I visited the hotel training school, and we found 2 trees there, 2 jallo trees. I don't know what they are called in English. Sorry? Mahogany trees, right? One was planted by Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara. What was the year?
Sometime in the late
in the late 70s, yes. And the other one was planted by President Kenneth Kaunda. Those 2 trees, you know, adorn the compound of the hotel training school, and they are now big girls. And I even thought that our discussion, the discussion that we planned to do, we would have done under those trees, but we didn't get to do it. However, I want to draw, thank you very much. I want to draw the Gambia's attention to what the former Attorney General said, that the KAIRABA Conservation Leadership Organization is well poised
to continue doing this kind of operations throughout the country for as long as we exist. And I want to echo the appeal you have made to government to work with us and make sure that we plant 1 million trees maybe by the end of this year. The other thing that I want to talk about is what the guy from NEA said, that we will also do our best to identify these trees so that years down the line, anybody visiting this place would know that these trees were planted by reputable Gambians in honor of the most illustrious son this country has seen so far. And we hope that we can produce sons like him for the future of this country, because it is important that we continue the good work that he has started. The KAIRABA Conservation and Leadership Organization is not only planting trees. As you can hear from the name of the organization, there are two aspects to it. There is the conservation aspect and the leadership aspect. The conservation aspect is what we are doing now, trying to plant trees, but we also have plans to revive certain natural environment and natural spaces that have been neglected for a while now. One that comes to mind is the botanical gardens in Bakau, and also perhaps if we have the necessary assistance, the revival of the Kotu stream. I know that the KMC are already interested in that, and there is some work going on, but we will work with them to ensure that we realize that as well. So not to take too much of your time, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say a big thank you to all of you, and to assure you that KAIRABA Conservation and Leadership Organization, Kairaclo for short, will continue to work in the conservation and the leadership aspect of the legacy of Sir Dawda. Thank you.